On to you Leos out there. So you Leos actually have the Four of Wands, the Page of Pentacles, and the Ten of Wands. If you'd like to get a personal reading from me, there's a link in the comment section below called a Linktree link. Click on it. It will redirect you to a website where there's ways to get a personal reading from me, birth chart readings, as well as the books that I have that are on Amazon.com. Shout outs to people who have came through so far. Like I said before, I don't get a whole lot of people coming through and getting readings, and I would appreciate it if you would. Thanks anyway. So for you, Leos, you have the Four of Wands, the Page of Pentacles, and the Ten of Wands. So these three cards right off the rip speaks to how humble a lot of you Leos are right now. There's not a whole lot of like being talkative with a lot of people. The Four of Wands speaks to a humility, right? Staying hidden, doing what it is that you need to do, and being quiet about it, basically. The Four of Wands speaks to a lot of you Leos being a homebody now, where it's like all of this, it seems like you want to do is just go to work and come home. Be boring, right? And because a lot of you Leos understand that there's very much so not a whole lot of things for you out there in the streets. And a lot of you are very much so correct in that. There's not a whole lot really going on in the streets. A lot of times people think that there is, but what's really going on in the streets, just spending all the time in the streets, is just dysfunction. You know, like when you really think about it, who is in the streets most hours out of the day? A lot of the times people who are knuckleheads trying to get off what they getting off. But, you know, people who, you know, they either buying or they're supplying. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Then the Page of Pentacles and the Ten of Wands is about how, so because of this, a lot of you Leos, you understand that you have purpose. The Page of Pentacles is a person that understands what's valuable and understands what is meant to be upheld, right? That the value is worth going after. The newfound level of purpose is worth going after. And again, a lot of you Leos are ahead of the game because you realize that life is not a game. And then not only that too, but you Leos also understand that, you know, you have to have a purpose. You have to have something that you're actually going for. You have to have some sort of goal that, how do I say? It's a goal that addresses some sort of weakness that you have within yourself that you're looking to actually overcome, right? So with me, right, to make things more relatable, to me, it's finances. You understand what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I got a house and all this other type of stuff, but, you know, my house is more so like in Trinidad and all of that. But as far as New York City, I don't have a house in New York City. So why that's important is because two different pieces of land, right? Like one is in Trinidad, right? And then the other one, and then the other residence that I'm living in here that you see is an apartment. So even though in Trinidad, I would be kind of like wealthy, maybe, up here, not so much. So I'm learning how to work on my own weaknesses, which would be to essentially address the financial situation. But, you know, along the way, I get jerk-offs that try to talk about finances, and it's like, come on now, if y'all was rich, y'all wouldn't be sitting y'all goofy behinds up on the internet pontificating and speculating about what somebody has versus what somebody doesn't have. You would actually have a life building your industry. So anyway, the point that I'm trying to make here with that is that we all have weaknesses and things that we got to work on. Now, the things that naturally come to us easily is things that we need to maintain and get better as well. But what our weaknesses are things that we need to take an active approach on improving, or those are our goals. that creates that purpose, right? That creates that level of goal that we need to actually seek out. So a lot of the times, right, a lot of people don't do that. And this is why they don't grow. Because the Ten of Wands right here represents how this is what I'm trying to say. Like, this is what separates you, Leos, from the game. This is what keeps you out of the streets. This is what keeps you out of the games that people play. Is that when you have like, people can't take away your purpose when you actually have something to do. The only time that people can play games with your head and mind games is when you don't really have a purpose and you don't really prescribe or actually set yourself on a path where you're actually working towards something that is truly meaningful here and in here, mind and heart, everywhere for you. That makes you dangerous when you actually have a goal, because you're not necessarily running around hurting anybody or doing anything egregiously nefarious, but people can't play games with you. And this is what has saved me a lot of time messing around with people that would have played a whole lot of mind games. Because for me, the reason why it doesn't work is because I have a purpose. I'm not going to tell people what my purpose is, right? Or everything that's on my purpose, even though I shared a little bit. But that's not necessarily my only goal. It's not that what I just named a few minutes ago is not fixated in time where as soon as I reach that, then I stop, right? That's not the case. And it's because of that constant pursuit of perfection, not necessarily external perfection all the time, where it's like everything has to be luxurious and all of this and keeping up with the Joneses. But I'm talking about a spiritual, and even greater than that, a soulful purpose, where it's like it's much more of the soul. It's much more of the, like, trying to go after something that from a little child, having but lacking in that same sense, but also growing into that area where it's like I'm becoming better with it, despite the crap that people talk about is irrelevant because they're just delusional, right? And it's the same thing that separates, like I said, you Leos from the streets as well. And you'll understand what I'm talking about as this reading goes on, because the Wheel of Fortune and the Temperance, I know sometimes people will say, oh, you going on and on and on, but I have to break down these readings to get y'all to understand what I'm talking about, because people be wanting spiritual understandings, but they don't know how to actually root it in anything real. And that's where things end up getting lost in translation. Like, I could come on here and talk to y'all about some nonsense and you don't necessarily understand any of the crap that I just said, or I can break some things down to you in a way where you can grasp it, where it's like, okay, you getting it. Because the way that I explain things here on the channel, a lot of people come to me on the low, off camera, of course, right? Meaning out of YouTube, and let me know that they've gotten some breakthroughs with some of the things that I've been talking about, where they have actually made profound change in their life for the better. And that's what it is. That's amazing. That's part of why it is that I'm doing this. So the Wheel of Fortune and the Temperance right here speaks to, again, the Wheel of Fortune is about the hands of time. It represents like the same things that you do that, ingrain you, put you in a timetable. You want to get out of the timetable, but you having trouble getting out of the timetable due to the fact that a lot of you Leos feel like you'll never get out of it. You don't do anything that's differently. Well, having a purpose and knowing what it is that you want sets you on that path, because you always remind yourself what it is that you're doing it for. It creates that purpose of action. Why are you doing something? Why are you taking action? Right? So the Temperance represents the wisdom that accompanies the reason why you're taking action and then the action afterwards. Wisdom comes after that, because then you're able to understand things much more differently, having thought about it and then actually going about doing it, right? Practicing it, actually applying it. And knowledge is meant to be applied. Knowledge is meant to be applied. Like, you get people who, like, that's why it is that there's such a differences between book smarts and street smarts, because you have people who regurgitate, textbook knowledge and stuff like this, but then in the real world, when it comes to other areas of their life, they're stupid in, and they're very much so immature in, because they haven't learned how to apply a lot of the knowledge in life in areas that actually work for real, for real. So the Four of Swords and the Queen of Pentacles is about how, the Four of Swords and the Queen of Pentacles and the Page of Cups, within the next couple of days or weeks, I see a lot of you Leos really kind of reflecting on your own purpose and where you Leos want to go and what you want to do, and really becoming a lot more clear with what your next couple of moves is going to be. Because that's another thing too that people don't really tell you and give you the game on, right? Give you the knowledge on, bust the wisdom down, is because you're supposed to understand what your next move is going to be, or create a plan for that to actually happen. Like, create something to really happen, to where these steps that you'll actually get a chance to take, right? That's how you plan going about actually handling what it is that you wanted to handle. Because a lot of the times, this is a situation where if you don't have a plan, it just ends up being a delusion. It just ends up being a situation where you don't really understand what's actually going on. You're saying that you want to accomplish a lot of things, but you don't really have a plan to do so. So you don't even know where to start. And having a list, or having plans to, maybe if you don't necessarily have a physical list, but you have a mental list, right? That puts you on that path towards actually becoming a lot more clear with your next couple of steps, because then you get a couple of things done, which puts you on the next step to doing the next things. And the thing is that the Page of Cups represents, a lot of people are honestly going to get left. A lot of things are going to get left as well. A lot of thought processes that you used to have, like ideas, is going to get left in the dust. A lot of people that you used to know that cause you trouble, or maybe they don't cause you trouble, but they cause you trouble indirectly, where they don't bring value to you, they don't do anything for you, and that's precisely the point. It's like they're literally around you, and it's like they'll just accept whatever it is that you give them, and they take too much, but they never actually put anything back. Yeah. So the Queen of Cups now and the Knight of Cups right here is about how a lot of you are a lot happier, and that's the point that I'm trying to make. You'll be a lot happier when you decide to do that. The faster you Leos actually like make a plan, and actually, you could even make a list of goals or long-term goals that you legitimately want to do, short-term and long-term goals that you legitimately want to do, that are for you specifically, that are tailor-made for you. Because I got a list of things on my phone that I don't tell anybody about, right? Specifically. But that's what fire signs are built for. Like, again, fire signs are built for that journey, that trying to understand self, that incorruptibility, right? The sun Leo represents incorruptibility. It's supposed to represent that journey that I was talking about. That's why on the Wizard of Oz is what? Tin Man, Lion, Straw Person. The Tin Man represents that the lion is supposed to represent that incorruptibility, that heart. So the cards are showing me that a lot of you Leos are going to be much so better off when you get rid of some people that are causing you problems, don't really bring anything to you, just all the clutter that's in your life. It's time to do some summer cleaning, right? Spring cleaning, but in the summer. And understand what are your long terms and your short term goals. And because what I'm seeing here is that a lot of you Leos are not quite happy. A lot of you Leos have kind of gotten into a little bit of a rut with certain habits that you've picked up along the way. I want to say within the last year that we're in, picked up certain habits that you don't particularly like, and that a lot of you Leos actually want to correct certain habits, i.e. get out of certain habits and start doing other things as well. So okay, so I'm getting notifications. So let's clarify some of these cards. Let's clarify the Knight of Cups. Ten of Swords. Seven of Pentacles. Three of Wands. Oh snap. Queen of Pentacles. Sorry about that. And the Fool. These 5 cards to clarify the Knight of Cups. Be careful of anybody right now in your life, Leo, that is, like I said, that is a distraction to the short-term and long-term things that you want to get done. Because I'm seeing how there are going to be some people in your life who will distract you, who are distractions right now, like I was talking about. Those are the individuals that can't keep up with you. You know, like Nipsey Hussle, who's a Leo, August 15th. A lot of people who can't necessarily keep up. Not saying everybody in this crew can't keep up. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I said. What I'm saying is that, you know, some people in your crew you gotta let go of. You know, and you basically, they just gonna do their own thing. And for the people who can keep up, who gonna be in your life, they're gonna naturally have to keep up, because you can't save them. You can't be their keeper. So how are they going to still be in your life? They're going to have to keep up on their own. A lot of you Leos have some distractions. The Two of Wands, the Queen of Pentacles, right? The Fool. And then, and you know, they're distractions. They're truly distractions, but they're trying to convince you that they're not by appearing to be loving.